Clara Williams was a woman who never lacked anything. Since her teenage years, she had been known for her brilliant mind and boundless ambition. Raised in a simple family, Clara always promised herself that she wouldn't let poverty hinder her from achieving her dreams. She started her business career with a strong determination, and in a short time, she managed to establish a towering tech company. The company grew rapidly, and Clara became one of the wealthiest and most influential women in the world. However, despite the entire world seeing her as a symbol of success, Clara felt empty. The great achievements she had made seemed meaningless. Success and wealth seemed to be just a facade, covering up her inner restlessness. Clara realized that, although she had everything the world desired, there was an empty space that remained unfilled. What was she really looking for? One day, after attending a business conference in Dubai, Clara decided to take a moment to herself. She didn't know why, but a strange feeling urged her to step away from the business world for a while. She went to a small cafe located on the outskirts of the city. There, she met Layla, a middle-aged, modest woman wearing a hijab, radiating an unusual aura of peace. They started talking about life, and before long, the conversation turned to religion. Layla spoke about Islam, about the inner peace that comes with surrendering to God, about the importance of living a meaningful life and giving to others. Clara, who was used to being surrounded by business and worldly concerns, was surprised to hear these words. There was something very different in the way Layla spoke, something calming and stirring. Islam is not just about rituals, Clara, Layla said gently. It's about the peace you feel when you let go of the burdens of your heart, when you truly surrender everything to God. Clara felt like she had been struck by lightning. The words hit her heart deeply. A question arose in her mind that had never been expressed before: is there more to life than just wealth and worldly success? Could there be a way of life that is more peaceful, more meaningful? She wanted to learn more. Since that meeting, Clara began to delve deeper into Islam. She visited several mosques in Dubai and spoke with the imams. She read books about the history of Islam, listened to lectures from scholars, and became increasingly fascinated by the teachings she encountered. Every word and every verse in the Quran felt like discovering a key that opened the door to the peace that had long been locked in her heart. Clara felt a profound change within herself. However, the journey was not easy. Clara faced many unanswered questions and even doubts in her heart. As someone who had grown accustomed to living by logic and reason, she wondered if it was possible for someone who had spent so long in a capitalist and pragmatic world to switch to such a different way of life. Would everything she had achieved feel meaningless if she followed this new path? And more importantly, how would the world, which had exalted her as a symbol of success, react if she suddenly decided to change direction? Clara felt torn between two very different worlds, the world filled with wealth and praise, and the world filled with inner peace and devotion to God. Yet, one thing she knew for certain: she couldn't return to her old life of emptiness. An unexpected event accelerated her transformation. One night, after returning to her hotel following a business meeting out of town, Clara received a call from her mother informing her that her father had fallen seriously ill. Clara was shocked. Her father, who had always been healthy and strong, was now lying weak. Clara rushed home to take care of him. It was here that she realized how fragile life was, how everything she had always taken for granted, wealth, success, and time, could vanish in an instant. By her father's bedside, Clara reflected deeply. In the midst of the silence and anxiety, she felt as though there was a call from deep within her heart. She wondered, what have I done with my life? What have I given to the world, other than the wealth I've amassed for myself? Clara knew that her life had to change. She had to find a more meaningful path. The next day, after caring for her father, Clara returned to Dubai, and this time she brought with her a new intention: to embrace Islam. With firm steps and a heart full of doubt, but also newfound conviction, Clara finally decided to recite the Shahada. It felt as though she had rediscovered herself, part of her soul that had long been buried beneath the pile of worldly success. When Clara left the mosque after saying the Shahada, the air felt fresher, and the world seemed brighter. For the first time in her life, she felt free. Free from the restlessness that had long lingered in her heart. Free from the emptiness she had felt despite the world's praise. Now, Clara knew that her true journey had just begun, a journey toward inner freedom, peace, and devotion to something greater than herself. After receiving a new light in her life through Islam, Clara felt as though she had been reborn. Each day felt full of potential, yet also filled with questions about what she should do with everything she had gained. The wealth and social status she had accumulated over the years now felt like a burden, something that no longer brought her happiness. Clara realized that her life had to be more than just the pursuit of personal gain and success. There was a greater calling to be answered, a mission that would give true meaning to her new life. While at a mosque in Dubai, Clara spoke with a wise imam. "How can I be of benefit to the community, Imam?" she asked with great curiosity. The imam smiled and looked at her with eyes full of wisdom. "Everyone has the potential to bring about change. For you, perhaps that path is by using all that God has given you, wealth, time, and influence, to build something that can benefit many people." The imam's words touched Clara deeply. She knew that now was the time to change the world. But what could she do with all the wealth and influence she had? After thinking for a long time, Clara felt inspired by something profound. She decided to build mosques. Not just any mosques, but a network of mosques that could become centers of change. The mosque would not only be a place of worship but also a center for education, skills training, and empowerment for the community. Clara decided to build 1,000 mosques around the world, especially in areas that lacked access to proper places of worship and social services. This plan was not going to be easy. Clara knew that building these mosques would require a lot of resources, support, and patience. But there was a conviction in her heart that left no room for doubt. She didn't want to be just a wealthy person who thought only of herself. She wanted to bring about a deeper change, one that would have a lasting impact on Muslims and society as a whole. The first mosque project began in a small town in Africa. The town was known for its population, most of whom lived in poverty and lacked public services. There were no proper mosques, only a makeshift place used for worship that wasn't even properly protected from the weather. Clara knew that the first mosque she would build here would be the starting point for change. Clara gathered a team of architects, contractors, and social experts to design a mosque that would not only serve as a place of worship but also a space for educating and empowering the community. This mosque would have classrooms for children to learn about religion and mathematics, a skills training area for adults, and facilities to empower women, teaching them skills that would help them become economically independent. The process of building the mosque was filled with challenges. Clara had to face local bureaucracy, logistical issues, and even doubts from some people who questioned whether a woman from the business world like her could succeed in such a social project. However, Clara never backed down. She kept pushing forward, convincing everyone involved that this project was much more than just a building. It was hope for those on the margins, a place where they could learn and grow. Finally, after months of hard work, the first mosque was completed. Clara attended the inauguration ceremony, filled with hope and gratitude. When the mosque doors were opened, and the first congregation stepped inside to pray, Clara felt an overwhelming sense of happiness. It wasn't just about the building standing tall, but about the lives that would be transformed within it. The mosque became a symbol of rebirth for many people, a place that not only provided spiritual peace but also opened doors for education and empowerment. The success of the first mosque was extraordinary, and Clara knew this was just the beginning. As more mosques were built, more people benefited from the educational and training programs offered. Clara grew more excited. Each mosque she built didn't just change the town, it brought new hope to Muslims who felt marginalized in the world. Throughout this process, Clara met many inspiring people. There was a young woman who began teaching sewing skills at the first mosque she built, now able to earn her own income and provide education for her children. There was also an elderly man who had once been unable to read the Quran, but through the classes provided at the mosque, he could now read fluently and teach others. Clara was deeply moved to see how one small action could change so many lives. However, the challenges grew larger. After building several mosques in Africa and Asia, Clara started to face opposition from those who felt threatened by the project. Some who were losing power began spreading rumors and attempting to block her efforts. Clara had to fight against skepticism and opposition, but her heart, newly built in faith, gave her the strength to keep moving forward. The The more Clara immersed herself in this world, the more she felt that her life now had a far greater purpose than before. This project was not just about building mosques, but about transforming communities, providing education, and creating opportunities for those who had none. Clara knew that what she was doing now would leave a legacy far more valuable than all the wealth she had ever accumulated. The second mosque was built in Indonesia, in a village rarely given attention by the outside world. The local people welcomed her with open arms, and Clara felt a deep sense of emotion as she saw the young children enthusiastically learning to read the Quran in the newly built classroom. Each step she took strengthened the mission in her heart, to bring change, to give light to those in the darkness. With a heart full of passion, Clara continued her mission, building more mosques, making an impact, and offering hope to the world. She knew she had found her path, and she would never stop. This was the mission of revival, and Clara was the one destined to bring about that change. After successfully building over 100 mosques in various parts of the world, Clara felt her steps growing more confident. However, despite all the successes, the challenges she faced with each mosque she built grew heavier. Every place she visited left behind stories of people filled with hope and struggle, but also presented new obstacles that needed to be overcome. One day, Clara received an invitation to visit a remote village in the Middle East that had no proper mosque. The village was located in a region ravaged by prolonged conflict. The people there desperately needed a safe place for worship, but also a space to heal the social wounds caused by war and injustice. Clara knew this would be her greatest test. Upon arriving in the village, Clara was welcomed by the locals with great hope. They wanted a place that was not only for worship, but also to heal social wounds, reduce hatred, and foster a sense of unity. Many children lacked access to education, and many women felt marginalized and deprived of opportunities. Clara knew that this mosque had to be more than just a physical structure, it had to become a center for healing and empowerment. Before starting the construction, Clara held a meeting with the local leaders. "I want this mosque to be more than just a place of worship. This is a center for change, a place where children can learn, where women can acquire skills, and where everyone can heal from their trauma. We will build something that gives new hope, a better future," Clara said with conviction. The process of building this mosque was very different from the previous ones. The local community was directly involved in every stage of construction. They were not just beneficiaries, but part of the change itself. Clara believed that if they were given the opportunity to participate, the sense of ownership and responsibility toward the mosque would run deeper. Every day, Clara came to the construction site, talked to the locals, listened to their stories, and worked alongside them. She learned so much from them, about human resilience, the strength of a community that can rise from despair, and the importance of having a purpose greater than oneself. Despite many challenges, Clara felt stronger. She knew that each mosque she built was a step toward a broader, global change. However, Clara's journey was not always smooth. The more mosques she built, the more doubts arose about her mission and purpose. Some groups, feeling threatened by her social and humanitarian projects, began to launch attacks against her. They spread rumors, claiming that Clara was using religion to shield her personal ambitions. More than once, Clara heard harsh words that pointed toward hatred. However, Clara did not let these attacks stop her. She knew that every assault would only strengthen her resolve. She learned from every criticism and continued forward with unwavering confidence. "Life is not about what people say about us, but about what we leave behind for the world," Clara often reminded herself. One night, after attending the inauguration of a mosque in a very remote village, Clara sat in a chair outside the building, gazing at the star-filled sky. The sound of prayers and cries full of hope echoed from within the mosque. Clara felt an immense peace, and at that moment, she knew this was her true purpose in life, not just for herself, but for humanity. All the struggles, sacrifices, and challenges she faced now seemed meaningful. As the dawn broke, Clara received good news: several countries began to support her grand mission. Governments, international organizations, and even large non-profit organizations participated in her program. Clara saw that there were many people out there who cared and wanted to help build a better world. This gave her an incredible boost to continue the mission on a larger scale. Not only that, but Clara also felt compelled to involve more women in her project. She knew that many women were marginalized in various regions and were not given the opportunity to develop themselves. Through the mosques she built, Clara started special training programs for women. Some began learning small business skills, technology, and even starting their own businesses. Seeing these changes, Clara realized that her dream was not just about building 1,000 mosques, but also about building 1,000 hopes for a more inclusive and just future. One by one, the mosques that Clara built began to have an extraordinary positive impact on the community. Children who once couldn't go to school now had a place to learn and chase their dreams. Women who had once stayed at home now had the opportunity to change their lives. Even many people who were once caught in hatred and animosity now began to see the value of peace and unity. However, Clara was not satisfied. She knew there was still much work to be done. Her mission was not complete, and she was determined to continue building, giving, and inspiring the world so that more people would be touched by the light of peace she brought. The legacy she wanted to leave behind was not just magnificent buildings, but a better life for many people who had never been given a chance. In the end, Clara realized one important thing: a mosque is not just a place of worship, but a place that can bring change to someone's life. Each mosque she built was a reflection of the power of faith, love, and devotion to God that could change the world, one small step at a time.